Drivetime Radio with New York Vinnie.
On this week's edition of Yo, Vinnie, what are you driving this week? What about the show?
Yo, Vinnie, what are you driving this week?
Have a little fun. It is a fun day here out at the...
You're listening to Drivetime Radio.
Remember, just plug in. I'm ready.
Yes, remember to just plug in and you'll be okay. Just plug into the show and everything will be okay for the next few hours. Well, next hour at least. Happy Valentine's Day and a very good morning to you. It is Drivetime Radio. I am New York Vinnie. We are hanging out here for the next hour or so, talking cars, life, things that are going on, ways that we get through it together. I always like to think that we get through it together because, we're a community of people that's formed here over the last couple of years that I've been doing this show. Gee, more than a couple of years. I mean, this version of the show has been on the air now 6, 7, 8 years since we started doing it back in, even more than that. I mean, it's almost 10 years since I got sick, and we started doing it about a year after that. So it's 7 or 8 years at least that we're doing this incorporation of Drivetime Radio. It's been in other, various forms for over 30 years. So we've been doing something. There's a lot of people since the explosion of YouTube. There's a ton of people that have been doing car shows. Some of them do really good shows. Sometimes I have the host on this show and we talk and exchange ideas and try to hopefully do something to improve all of our shows. And then there's ones that are, AI and all of that stuff, which is, there's a lot of people that, type some words into a computer and they get a script and, the AI voices it and they don't put any effort into it. And you can tell. You can plainly tell when somebody has put their personality, their rhythm, their thoughts about a show into a show, and they haven't, or at least I can. And I think most of the people that listen to this show can, because this is a show where a lot of the people that listen to this show have known each other. We've met up at meets and stuff like that, and cars and coffee and stuff like that. And hopefully with the weather getting nicer, we'll be able to start to do that stuff again. I really hope to be able to get my show out on the road a lot this summer to different cars and coffee. I plan, and this is in the planning stages, to get the show on the road, the Mother Road. We are in the planning stages right now of putting the show on Route 66 for the 100th anniversary of Route 66. We'd like to drive the route and, take our time and see some stuff and do a series of 3 or 4 shows from different spots on Route 66. So in order to celebrate the Mother Road's 100th birthday, which I think, is a great, we're going to celebrate the United States 250th anniversary. And I think that we should also not lose sight of the fact that Route 66, the road that so many people took to come out west in the 30s and the 40s through the Depression. You want to talk about a time where people helped each other. Getting out here when you had no money, when you were, relying on people that you'd never seen before and probably would never see again for help, for guidance, for a meal sometimes. Those stories that you saw in The Grapes of Wrath, if you saw that movie, are true. That wasn't a very dramatized version of what went on. It was pretty much what people were going through back then. And unfortunately, it seems that people are going through that again in this day and age. Shouldn't be, but it is. And so we'll try to bring you some of that as the weather gets better and it's more of I hope I last long enough to take that trip. It's a trip that I've always wanted to take. I haven't driven Route 66 or a large section of it for many, many, many years. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll get talking to a couple of different manufacturers now and seeing what we can come up with to take the car. And I know what I'd like to go with. I'm not going to spill the beans on that because I think it's a little whacked out of a reality, but I know what I'd like to go with. I know I have a second choice of what I'd like to go with, but I'm going to go with whatever I'm handed. I think it's an important trip. I think it's something that hopefully, as I take this trip, I'll be able to have people meet me and drive with me for part of the trip. It's an idea that I have had for a number of years of wanting to do this, something similar to this, but to set this trip up so that you could, I don't know how we'll do it, but you could ride, a few hundred miles with me. More than likely, we would set it up that if you contribute to a charity, you would have an opportunity to ride, talk, see the country with me, and and experience Route 66 together. So keep that in that little compartment of your mind that says things that I might like to do. I think it'd be a great. I'm a great road guy. I love the road. I'll ask anybody who's ever taken a road trip with me, except my sister Mary Ann. I was a long time ago. We took a trip together, and I was not on my best behavior. I acted more like a big asshole than a big brother. So we laugh about it now, and I've apologized to her on several occasions. I don't know how I'll ever be able to make it up to her, but I mean, she was 16 years old, 17 years old. I ruined her trip to California, and I've always felt bad about that. So hopefully she'll come with me on a leg of this trip. And she will get out on the road a little bit. And, she's got stuff going on. And so I don't know how much of the trip she wants to take, but I would love it. I haven't even mentioned this to her, so this is all news to her right now, if she's listening. But I would love for her to take a leg of the trip with me, so that I just won't take her on the same leg that we got into arguments the last time, because I don't want to take a chance on her reliving all of that, or all of my being an idiot, which I could be when I was younger. I'll be the first one to admit it. I could be a real jerk when I was a kid. Luckily, we've gotten past that, or she's been able to get past that in our relationship. And as with all brothers and sisters, I mean, you always have those times, I think. I mean, I'm sure that there's some brothers and sisters that can say, oh my God, I had a perfect relationship and we had a wonderful time, and we were the best people. Yeah, I know. I knew a couple of people like that too when I was growing up, but there was always, when you uncover, when you peeled away the layers of onion, it started to stink at some point. So anyway, we'll talk more about that as time progresses, and we get closer to. I'm looking. I think June would probably be a good time to take this trip. So I guess I better get moving, right? But I think June would be a good time to take this trip. And if you are interested in the trip, drop me a line, leave a message in the comments. Let me know that you're interested in going, and we'll keep you on the list. And as soon as we have some solid information about when we'll be going and what the dates are and everything, I'll let you know, and let you know how you could participate in it. Like I said, I think I'm a good road guy. I think that I could. You could have a pretty good trip with me, because I remember stuff that it's not there anymore. I mean, I remember driving through this town and seeing that and driving that. I remember places like Ole's Big Game in Nebraska, and these places that were little stops. You grab a cup of coffee and a sandwich or something like that. Many of them aren't there anymore, but the ones that are still there, I know about you, and I'll be extremely excited to stop back and see how you've grown in 50 years. I know how I've grown in 50 years, but I want to see how you've grown in 50 years. Are you still the same old lovable, sandwich shop that you were back in 1974 or 76? Or are you a little different? Be interesting to see. It's a great, listen, I love this country, and I love driving across this country. I love meeting people from different places. And I don't really, this is not a political trip. This is just to see people, different people, and to leave our political stuff and prejudices and this and that at the door, and just try to meet each other on a with a sense of just shaking hands and giving each other a hug and saying hello. Will it change the world? No. Will it change you, or where you are, or what your life is about? Probably not. I'm not Dr. Phil. I'm New York Vinnie. I'm a guy that, made a living using his mouth to talk to people. I learned how to talk to people from some very good people who I was lucky enough to have in my life when they were alive, and they taught me mostly by example of how to how to meet people, how to talk to them, how to listen to people, not just to what I'm saying, and flood the zone with what I think and wear you down so that you'll eventually think what I think, or you'll walk away, or you'll call me a schmuck and smack me, or something. The idea is to listen as well as you speak. So we'll have more information on that. It is Valentine's Day. Again, happy Valentine's Day to those who celebrate the holiday. I get a feeling, I don't know about this for sure, but I got a feeling that there's more people celebrating Valentine's Day. There was a time, and I was included in this, where I get away from me with this holiday. Just don't come near. I don't want to buy flowers. I don't want to buy this. I don't want to buy that. I don't want to buy a card. I don't want to send my, I would send my daughter a card. Because it's my daughter and I love her. And this is a day that I have found out is not just about romantic love, but it's about a love that, it's about all love that you have for people. And so when you look at it through those eyes, you look at it a little bit differently. It doesn't have to be it's not about sex and love. It's not about, the people that make lingerie want you to believe that it is, right? They want to sell you a fancy $100 pair of panties or something like that. That's not what I'm talking. It's about love your neighbor. It's about love your friends. It's about the kind of love that's produced from the heart. It's a good thing. We need more of it. Like Jackie DeShannon said, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. She sang it. She didn't say it. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. So that's the day we celebrate today. Along those lines, I did do something kind of interesting yesterday. I went on my Facebook account. I know. Yeah, you still on Facebook? Yeah, still on Facebook. I went on Facebook and I wanted to ask a kind of a romantic question to do with cars. And I think the best thing that I could think of that I thought that was kind of, cool to see, to look at, something that we didn't see, that, maybe we've grown out of something like that. Anyway, I asked the question, where is the best place to hang out and make out in a car? And I asked it in two places. I asked it on my own timeline, and I asked it on my this group I belong to, my Edmonds Neighbors, which is a group of people in the town that I live in, Edmonds, in the jurisdiction, are neighborly. We talk about different things, places, businesses, things that are happening in the community. It's a online community of Edmonds residents and people that are interested in the city of Edmonds, the city where I live. I've lived here for the past 6 years and have grown to really love this area. And just had I loved West Seattle when I lived there. I thought that so felt like home. Edmonds does in a different way. So anyway, I asked the question of people, what's the best spot to make out that you remember from making out? Now, when I was a kid, the best spot, well, there was a bunch of spots, actually. New York City is so crowded, you had to get online to go to a spot on a Friday or a Saturday night. But the overwhelming choice from so many people, and I thank you for having the nerve to write it down, to put it on social media, to make yourself a little bit vulnerable. But my favorite spot was Astoria Park, which was a park in Queens, for those of you not familiar with New York, but it was right on the East River. And it had just this incredible view of the skyline of New York. It was, it was like you were in a movie. As a matter of fact, that spot has been in several movies. And it was a place where people knew what was going on and nobody bothered anybody. We never had any people hacked to death down there or anything like that I can remember. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know that there was anybody ever, the stuff that generally rears its ugly head once every 20 years in places like this, the makeout spots. But it was a peaceful place where if you went there on a Friday or Saturday night, you could watch a lot of people watching who was it? Was it Jerry Blavat who came up with the submarine races, or Murray the K? Golden gases for submarine race watchers. But, there were a ton of people there. Obviously, the drive-in movies were great spots. We used to go to the WB, the Whitestone Bridge Drive-In up in the Bronx. Even when the South Bronx was at its worst, and I left New York in 80, and when it was at its worst, the WB Drive-In still was packed on a Friday or a Saturday night with kids who were waiting for the first submarine race to come out. So it was a great place, great venue, horrible pizza. Matter of fact, the pizza was so bad, it used to come in a box, a little box. And it was one of those, remember those frozen little pizza pies you used to get in the store, 6 for $1 or whatever it was? Well, they used to use those. They'd put them in the oven. There was no microwaves in those days. Boom, put it in the oven, take it out in 5 minutes when it was kind of warm, and put it on a plate and give it to her. Put it in that box and give it to you for, I don't know, $2 or $3. Anyway, but that was another place that was very, very popular when I was a kid. So you had Astoria Park. If things got a little bit more serious, and there was always 2 levels of make it out in a car, right? There was the make it out level, and then there was the going past making out level, shall we say. And that was usually reserved. There was an upper parking lot that was at the end of Hoyt Avenue North, under the Triborough Bridge, or just off to the side of the Triborough Bridge. And when things got serious, that's when you got up to that parking lot. You said, come on, we're going to go up there. And you went to that parking lot and did your business. And it was hard to get a parking space there on a Friday or a Saturday night because it was so close to get, the cars were close together. There were so many cars close together. It was how you could you want to try to find a place where people could see what was going on, who you were with. That was an important thing in those days, who you were with. Because if you're going out with one person, you definitely don't want to be parading that person down in a place where maybe if you were going out with another person, that person might see, because you're busted. Right? If you're in a car with somebody and somebody else sees you and you're not supposed to be there, you go and study with Mary Lou, and Betty Lou shows up at with her girlfriends in the convention. Oh, is that Eddie's car? And you don't want to have that situation. It's never a good situation. And there's no way out of it. You got nowhere to go. You are in an extremely vulnerable position. So you gotta be thinking about that. And the best thing is, as my father told me many times, was don't put yourself in that position. If that's the game you want to play, don't break some girl's heart. My father had very explicit ideas on that. That you just you just didn't do things like that. And anyway, so those were the places that I remember. A couple of places. There was a bunch of places. There was by the runway at LaGuardia Airport. There was the marina. The World's Fair Marina was a spot. Oh, what a spot that was. Beautiful spot. I'm talking about spots in New York now. The World's Fair Marina was a place, a dynamite place to go. The parking lot at Shea Stadium was another place. Flushing Meadow Park. The Unisphere. Over by the Unisphere was popular. You know, they had park roads, and it was safe because there was a couple of police stations at the entrance to the Flushing Meadows Park. So the bad guys tended to stay away from Flushing Meadow Park and that area. So it was considered a fairly safe place to go and make out. You weren't going to get some nut. The guy with the hook wasn't going to show up at your car, which was, remember that? You know, the hook, the whole story with the hook. Anyway, so there were several great places in New York when I lived in Brooklyn. Shaw Road, between like 65th Street and Fort Hamilton Parkway, was a great spot to sit and make out, except I actually lived on Shaw Road for a while and lived right in the middle of that zone. And when you lived there, it wasn't because there were cars all over the place. It was hard if you came home from work on a Friday night. It was hard to get a parking space because so many people were, you know, from 10 o'clock at night till 2 o'clock in the morning, there were scads of people there parking and making out and all that kind of stuff. Still a cool place, though. Still definitely a place that was, you know, and I guess if you were a perv, it was a great place because you could see all these people making out and all kind of stuff that goes on in those areas. I also asked people in Edmonds through my Edmonds Neighbors app to see where they, you know, and I just asked a simple question. I'm doing a quick survey for my show. Best spot in Edmonds to make out in your car, either now or in the past. And I wished everybody a love-filled Valentine's Day. And I got some great answers here. I like this one guy. He says, "Nice try, officer," like I was a cop. But I wrote back and told him I was. So, Sunset Avenue, which is a place that a lot of us go and park our cars now, just to sit and to look at the bay, the sound, and to enjoy the ferry going back and forth. You can park there until I forget what time it is. My friend Jessamine checked in waterfront during the Northern Lights. She actually got married. Well, she didn't get married there, but they got married in 2024. And they went down there. The lookout spot on Olympic View Drive. Yeah, there's a small spot if you go down Olympic View, past Casper's. You know, you make a left when you're coming up Casper's toward Aurora 99, and you get to Olympic View, and you make that left by the gas station. You go down on the left. There's like a little park. I think it's a county park, and that looked like great. Water Street back in the day. This guy just put limo tint on the windows. Yeah, if you can afford it. Otherwise, you put a blanket up on the windows. The senior center at the beach before it was remodeled, and the Bluff. Now, I'm not 100% sure where on the Bluff people are talking about. This guy, Chad, says, Keggers at Richmond Beach. I've been to Richmond Beach, and I've seen people down there, and it looks like an ideal spot. A lot of people were in for Sunset. And I thank all of you for your replies and your your spots. We're not going to send cops out. I just wanted to, it's cars, it's Valentine's Day, and I just wanted to get an idea of where people would go. What else do we got here? A ton of places. This guy, I said, where did you make out? And this guy, of course, said the back seat. Several other people said the back seat. A friend of mine, Robin, didn't want to give away that secret. Okay. Old cameraman from Channel 13, Harry, said the back seat. He was in on that one too. It was not a literal question, by the way. I was looking for the location of, the geographical location. My friend Cher from up in Canada, who used to live down here, her and her husband said the Gasworks Park was the place until they got chased by the cops. Then she said Shilshole might be a place. I could see that. I could see Shilshole being a place where people would go and hang out and make out and do that kind of stuff down there. This one I like. If literal, then I'd say out the moonroof while parked. I like that. That's when you get the camera out, okay? I mean, all bets, if you're hanging out the moonroof, make it out or more, all bets are off. What else here? Greg said Beasley Hill in Ephrata, Washington. I like that, man. My friend Wayne Unger, Astoria Park. I know Wayne a long time, man. If the tow truck was rocking, don't come and knocking. Insert your vehicle name there. But yeah, Wayne and I drove tow trucks way back when, in the old days. And back in the day, it was my 39 Pontiac that I gave you, Vinny. That was a bedroom on wheels, not joking. Yes, Joey. The one thing that I learned about that, Joey, my friend Joey, gave me at a 39 Pontiac. And he gave me, when the engine blew in the car, he gave me the 39 Pontiac. I think I might have paid him $25 for it or something, or $20. I forget. But he gave me his 39 Pontiac, and I was, 14 years old, something like that. And, we fixed it up inside, me and Freddie and George and Buddy. We vacuumed and cleaned up the back seat, and we'd go and hang out in the back seat of the 39 Pontiac. If the window was open a little bit, it was occupied. The window was closed. Then I'm talking about the crank up window. If the window was closed, you had clear passage. You were okay. Man, I forgot all about the 39 Pontiac, Joey. Holy crap. Yeah. One thing I love about Facebook and one thing I love about this show, and I know I'm spending a little more time in this issue, but it's Valentine's Day. One of the things about this show is that it's put me in touch with people that I haven't seen for years. And I'm so grateful and so thankful to be in touch with those people and know that they're okay and they're doing good. My friend Joey Fontaine, I know this guy since I'm a little kid, because he's 10 years older than I am. And he, if not for Facebook, I would have never, and I always, it's the kind of guy that you just never forget. He, his father and sister, were just these people that they were such cool people that you just never forgot. And you could imagine if Joey gave me a car, he immediately became the coolest person in my life. And his dad was real cool. Used to keep an eye on us when we were kids. Really, really good. Anyway, Joey, the 39 Pontiac, man. There were just so many good places. I'm just trying to think of a few other places, because I've lived in various places. I know that in Arizona, there's a spot. I don't remember the name of it. That the road snakes through the mountains, and there's one side of Phoenix on the other, and one side of Phoenix on the other. And there's a cool little bar that's up kind of in the bosom of this place. And the parking lot for that place had more action than a card table on New Year's Eve in any casino you go to. I mean, it was phenomenal how many people were in the parking lot making out. I think some of it was probably due to they probably had a couple of more drinks than they wanted to, and they were waiting for it to kind of wear off. And they said, well, while we're waiting, we may as well, Anyway, great. Robin. Great answers, though. Thank you, everybody, for. I want to read Ty's answer because it's pretty funny. So of course, he went with because he's such an analytical guy. He went with the logical, the literal answer. My mom always said it was the back seat of the car, and the back seats nowadays are too small. I concur. When I had a 75 Mercedes-Benz 450 SEL, that back seat was humongous. For the newer cars, the VW ID4 has a large amount of room. My mom also said that she didn't want to see the windows steamed up after I got back from my date. And she said it in front of his date. Yeah, I could see where that would get you a little bit embarrassed there, Ty. My dad was quite the opposite way. My dad was like, if the windows weren't steamed up, or if there wasn't, how when the windows would get steamed up, you'd write something, you'd put usually the woman, the girl would put a heart in there, and, Vinnie loves Penny or something like that. And, and that would stay. That wouldn't leave. That would be there. So anyway, that's the I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, what else do we got this one? I know we spend way too much time on that than I intended to, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes you spend more time on something than you think that you are gonna. And it happens. It's one of those things. What else do we got this morning? Okay, next week we're going to get out to the Portland Auto Show. If you want to check out a good auto show, now I love the Seattle Auto Show, but it happens in November, near to Thanksgiving, just a week or two before Thanksgiving. If you want to catch a glimpse at one of the first auto shows in the country, and one of the auto shows that a lot of manufacturers take seriously because it's early on. Sometimes they run models out and different concept cars to get reaction, to get tests. The Portland Auto Show is a good place to check out. Also, the good thing about the Portland Auto Show is that there is a large amount of people still in Portland that believe in electric cars. And so manufacturers think that this is a good place to go and strut out EV stuff. So you might get a chance to see something here or there in Portland that you might not be able to see somewhere else. So it's a good little show. I'm going to go down there. It's media day on Thursday. So I'm going to head down, take what I'm driving this week, jump on I-5 and get down here. Also, while I'm down here, there's a big reconstruction project getting ready to take place on I-5. They're going to replace the drawbridge that goes between Oregon and Washington. Now, as you probably know, I've driven over for years. If you go down to Portland, you go over, there is a drawbridge on I-5 that you go over, and it separates, goes over the Columbia River, and that drawbridge is going to be no more. Boom, it's gone. They're going to build a brand new bridge, probably similar to what they're doing or what they've done a few miles up the road for, what is that, the 205 roundabout connector that goes up by the airport. If you're going to Portland Airport, you don't take I-5 down. You get off and you go up, I think it's, or down 205 or 405. I forget what route it is off the top of my head. But you have an alternative. Well, they're going to do the same thing with I-5 straight through Portland. They're going to rip it up. They're going to improve it. They're going to widen it. They're going to straighten it out. They're going to make it beautiful. I'll never get to see it. I'll drop dead before it's finished. Well, I hope not. I mean, maybe I'll be around to see it. I don't know. But the work is starting, but yet there are disputes still, as is anything in Portland or Seattle or today most any city on how you want to do it. How much, how much it has to be tailored to mass transit, how much has to be tailored to different interest groups that want to get their piece of the action. And it's crazy because the only thing they do is they delay construction. They delay a much needed improvement. I mean, if you've ever gone down to Portland at rush hour or anything close to rush hour, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it's insanity. People leave at people, that are driving down to California or to Southern Oregon or something, or are going out that way. I mean, they leave 3 o'clock in the morning so they don't have to get involved in that traffic that starts at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's bizarre. So they're trying to fix it. But delays and groups and this and that aren't just going to let them put it up. They got to get, everybody has to have their feelings felt. That TV show, Portlandia, Fred Armisen and Carrie Brownstein, so catches the mood of not just Portland, but Seattle, really any city these days where you're trying to get something done. So that's something to, I'm going to try to see if I can get in contact with some, because what happens with some people that we can talk to and maybe sort that out at least a little bit, find out what's going on, because that's an important road for us here in Seattle as well as the people in Portland. We use that road to get to California, to get away from here, to get out of get out on vacation and all different sorts of things. So that road is extremely important to us too. And I want to see what's going on. So we're going to get out and try to uncover at least some of what's going on there. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll have a report, be able to report to you a little bit more on exactly what is happening. And get a projected finish date for that project. When could you expect to be able to drive over that new bridge? Speaking about new bridges, another thing that's going on, I don't know if you saw this, but we've talked about this before on the show, the Gordie Howe Bridge. It's the new bridge that is going between Detroit and Windsor, Ontario. And I, got interested in the bridge because I've been up to that area a lot of times. I have a lot of friends that live in Detroit. And, I've followed the developments. And it's a bridge that is the bridge that's there now, I think it's the Ambassador Bridge, is it? That's between the United States and Canada, is a privately owned bridge. It's not a state-built bridge. So they call the rules. They can close the bridge down if they want. They can charge whatever they want. The family that owns it, it's a privately owned corporation. Kind of like, there's a few of it. There's actually more than a few back east of people that bought land on both sides of a river and decided to build the bridge. There's this great one that goes between West Virginia and Maryland over the Potomac River. And it is really just a bunch of logs strung together that goes over this bridge, goes over the river. And you can only go over one car at a time. And a guy sits in that toll booth and he charges you a toll. And I've been on it several times. The last time I went on it, I went on it with a Dodge Challenger, a Hellcat, 700 horsepower. And the guy in the toll booth was so enamored with the car. I think it's $2 to cross it, $3, something like that. He really said to me, if you do a burnout, I'll let you go over the bridge for free. How could I refuse a deal like that? So I went over the bridge and I got up on the concrete bank of the river there where they, put a roadway, and I lit it up for him. And I did it a couple of times. This guy actually stopped traffic while I was lighting up the tires so he could watch it. Truly one of the most bizarre experiences I've ever had at a toll booth. And I've had some interesting experiences at toll booths. And so a few other times that I went there, the guy would always let me go through. No matter what I was driving, he'd let me go through because it wasn't that far from Pittsburgh. It was only like a 2-hour drive from Pittsburgh. So anyway, so the bridge between Canada and Detroit, the Gordie Howe Memorial Bridge, is almost ready to open. Construction is pretty well done. Land's all done. It's just a matter of, filling in some cracks in the concrete and letting some grass grow up so it looks nice. And then the officials getting in their cars and driving over the bridge for the first time and inaugurating the Gordie Howe Bridge, right? What could go wrong? Do I got to tell you? Now, I'm going to admit, I don't know everything that's going on with this story. I'm going to read up on it a little bit more and get to familiarize myself a little bit more. So I don't want to speak out of turn about, I don't automatically think that because somebody is who they are, that they're wrong. President Slapdick may have a perfectly good reason for not wanting to get this thing done and going and getting cars across this bridge and having a nice ceremony for Gordie Howe, who is, obviously left us a long time ago. Well, not that long ago. But, would want to get it going. I mean, it's Gordie Howe. It's a hero to Canadians. But President Slapdick is in a mood to break anybody's balls he can. So he's decided that he's going to do that with the Canadians. And so he now feels that there shouldn't be, they shouldn't get the approvals they need, the permits they need, what they need to conduct their business. How to, so the Gordie Howe Bridge is going to be delayed in opening. Again, I don't know everything about it, so I'm not going to say that it's his fault. I'm not going to say that it's their fault. I just want to know more about it and know why there's a delay after all this construction. Or there's no United States money, I believe, even put into this thing except for some improvements that they made on the Detroit side of the road, the bridge. They had to, put a connector ramp up to the bridge and some other stuff. But what I've seen is that the family that owns that bridge has contributed heavily to the Donald Trump campaign. And all of a sudden, because they have a vested interest in not having that bridge open up, and all of a sudden, there are several people that don't want that bridge to open up. And because it'll be direct competition for the privately owned bridge. That's, by the way, jammed with traffic all the time. Jammed. So if you got to go, you got to plan a day in advance to go over the bridge. But anyway, we'll keep an eye on that story because I don't want Gordie Howe's name being dragged through the mud. It's a vital link to our economy. We're doing everything we can, it seems, to piss off the Canadians as much as we can. And part of what's going on here, too, is that the Canadians, don't forget, 2 or 3 weeks ago, signed a deal with China to bring in electric cars. And you know as well as I know that that's sticking in the what's that thing between your toes there? It's sticking in that sensitive area of Donald Trump. It's sticking, it's a thorn in his paw. And with what he's done to the Canadians, it's probably rightly so. They're not happy about all the stuff that's been going on. It's screwed up their economy. So I don't know. We'll see how that turns out. But it's an interesting story. It's obviously has a lot to do with cars. If you go up there, if you have anything to do with going up there for summer vacations or what, if you go to Canada back and forth, it's a huge story. And we'll keep our eye on it. Toyota this week introduced another in their EV line. It's now going to be the 4th all-electric vehicle that they have in their showrooms in the United States. It is a Grand Highlander. One of the Toyotas that has not been as successful as other models. We did a review on it back 6 months ago. I thought it was a great vehicle. It was a 3-seat SUV that seemed to be able to, what I really liked about it, I remember, and I don't know how electrification will change this, it was one of the easiest cars to get in the back seat of, the easiest 3-seaters. It just seemed that, they designed it in order to, they got the seat to come up and move, and you could get in the back seat. Even an old fat guy like me could get in the back seat. And I suggested at the time, I remember, of if you had, older people, if you had older kids, and you still needed that three-seat, three-row SUV, that the Grand Highlander gasoline version, hybrid version, was certainly something to be checking out. Now that they're going to come out with an EV version of it, I wonder what changes are going to have to happen to the battery and how that was going to affect the space inside the vehicle. Because, when you put a battery in, a huge battery, sometimes it affects the space. I remember, though, there being one of the things that impressed me about the Grand Highlander is that there was a large amount of room between the back of the third row and the tailgate. It had a lot of room back there. They got it right. It was fairly easy to pack stuff in there. It held luggage. So we'll have some pictures of that coming up for you. I think they're still under embargo, if I'm not mistaken. But hopefully next week we'll have some tape of that for you. Maybe they'll even have one at the car show down in Portland. So that's some of the stuff that's going on. Oh, one very cool thing. Let me see if I can call this up real quick. The Washington State Department of Licensing. We were talking about tabs last week, and we didn't fail to say that there was a new license plate coming your way, and you were going to be able to get new license plates for your vehicle in the shape of old license plates. They had the green and white evergreen plates that are being made available for vehicles. Previously, the only way you could get a green and white evergreen plate is to have the classic plates from the year that car was built. Like on my Corvette, I had the green body with the white lettering on my 62 Corvette that were issued in 62. I had the tabs, put them on the car. No problem. When you paid a fee, and boom, you did it. 1, 2, 3. Well, now they have come out with this EV plate. I don't believe that they're just for EVs. I believe that anybody who wants to pay, I think it's $175 for the plates, can get them for their car. And I thought that, it's a very plain plate, but I thought it was a very cool looking plate. And again, I'm trying to call up a picture of it here real quick, but I just thought that it was just a good looking license plate. And the only thing I didn't like about it was that they're not going to be stamped plates. They're just going to be the embossed plates, the flat plates. They won't have the numbers stamped in them, which I always like. I like that number that's put in there, boom, stamped in it. I guess I like the idea of the prisoners spending their day, taking care of business, putting those plates out. But again, it's something that sometimes people want to spend a little extra money and get personalized plates and stuff like that. And I always think that that's again, always cool to get that. And I'm just looking up right here. I'm on the website. They have the how you get the specialized plates. They have special design plates. You go there, the throwback plate, and I mean they have a bunch of plates. They have U.S. Armed Forces plates, military services plates. What I do think, I hope that this is I haven't gone into this, but I do think that if you are a disabled veteran, you ought to get those plates for free. They have a prevent veteran suicide emblem on plates. There's a bunch of different plates that you can get. Collector vehicle plates, as we talked about a little bit last week. You have the college and university plates. Is it under special interest? Yeah. Keep Washington Evergreen. Let's see if we can quickly get these on. It's a specialty design plate. Keep Washington Evergreen. They don't have it expandable, unfortunately. But it's a, what does it cost? Personalized plates, $214. Motorcycles, $132. Trailer is $162. If you just want next available number plates, that's $162 for a passenger car or truck. Motorcycle is $80 and trailer is $110. And like I said, I'm trying to get the plate up here, but it doesn't seem to be working for me. But again, to Keep Washington Evergreen plate, and it's just really and they have a number. I mean, they get some great plates here. The amateur radio operator, Washington Aviation, Square Dancers, Music Matters, Share the Road. The other throwback plate, which is the black plate, which I think is really cool too. I have to think about. I want to get one of these. I have to think about which one I want to get. But again, those are available. You go to the Washington State Department of Licensing website, and they will show you the different kind of plates they have. I've always been a guy that likes the specialty plates, and I think that Washington does a good job. You can get them with your, Seahawk plates, Mariner plates, Sounder plates. I believe they have. They seem to have plates for every sports team. Gonzaga plates. They're all kinds of plates. So you can get those plates. And, it kicks in a little more than normally to the to license plate fees, which probably means that the fees are a little bit more, but you got something cool to bop around with. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. All right, let me see if I can quickly get this this particular shot up here for you. And then we will show, because I want to show you the Yo Vinnie, what are you driving this week car that I'm driving this week, because it's a cool car. And the more I drive this car, the more I like it. By the way, the Mustang, which we will review in depth next week, could turn out to be the best car that I've driven all year, as far as accessories. It really, I mean, it really gets a little whack sometime because you're driving cars and you're looking for different things for different cars. But this car, I gotta really admit, the Mustang Mach E was incredible. Was just a fun car to drive, and the karaoke machine made it 10 times better. It really did. I hate to say it, but it made it a lot better. All right, let's take a look at this one. This is the Subaru Crosstrek Hybrid, and I just thought that this was a is, and I just got it on Thursday, so I didn't get a chance to put it really through its paces. But there's a lot new here for 2026. It's a redesign. The engine's been looked at and taken over. I mean, it's just a lot new on here to go through and find out. The basic Crosstrek, everybody I know that owns one loves them. And it's a vehicle that it serves a lot of different purposes. If you are one of those people that like to go to garage sales and stuff like that, the back seats fold down. You got plenty of space in there to put stuff. If you are a person that likes to take road trips, the eyesight system and the lane keeping system and the safety system in this car is as good as anyone out there. It really has. It really is geared towards safety. Again, from the warnings that you get if you take your eyes off the road, to the beeping you get for lane changes and things like that, to the ability for it to, to travel straight down the road and keep you in your lane and assist you in driving the vehicle. Their systems are spectacular. The only complaint I ever had with Subaru really was that their infotainment system was a little bit confusing at times, but they have even gone through that and changed that. The digital video screens that are on there give you all the information that you need. They are perfectly configurable. They go in, a lot of different places that you can put information so that you have it there right at your fingertips. The switches that you need to operate different parts are not all part of the infotainment system. They're separate switches that are there on the dashboard, and they might be a little bit redundant, but what they do is they give you the ability to, if you can't get into your screen for some reason, or you have to make a quick decision on lights or temperature or something like that, they're there. The wiper stalk is where it's supposed to be. Everything that you need for this car is where it's supposed to be. And that is, to me, the beauty of this car. Got two electric motors in there. Get 194 horsepower total. Gives you about a 597-mile range in this car. All the Subaru goodies are there, like the symmetrical all-wheel drive. The digital display is there. It's a non-plug-in hybrid system. It's supposed to be better off-road. I've not taken it off-road yet, so I don't know. They say that this redesigned model is going to give you close to 40% better fuel efficiency. 597 miles on a single tank of gas. Premium Sport and limited editions. $33,995 for the premium, $34,995 for the limited. This particular color that I know you're loving is Sand Dune Pearl, and it's a beautiful color on the outside of this car. And one of the things that I noticed in this car is the interior, the stitching and everything. You know, you laugh, Vinny, you're making a big deal out of some orange stitching. But I think those little details is where Subaru, hits above its weight, hits above its average, because those little details make it a little bit more pleasurable to get in a car. Now, one thing good about this car, too, I think, is that there's a large amount of aftermarket equipment available for this car to make it that kind of off-roader that you want to have. Now, again, you're not going to go rock climbing in this car, but if you're going to go camping, speaking of Valentine's Day, you and your girlfriend, you and your wife, they sell kits that convert the top of the car to a platform, and you put a tent up there, you climb up a ladder, and you go inside, and you can sleep off the ground on top of the car. Just if you got to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, remind yourself that you're up there, because reports are some people have just gone flop right out of the car and hit the ground. We don't want you to get hurt on a car that you saw here on Drivetime and may have trouble with. But the whole package for Subaru is good. When you have a car like the Crosstrek, which is such a popular and exciting car to begin with, and then you can go and improve the package and give you better gas mileage, give you a more powerful car, give you a car that people can love even more, from a company that people love even more. That, Subaru and all the stuff they do with the dogs and the pets and the rescue and everything. When you can get a car like that, that's saying something. And Subaru, year in and year out, seems to be able to do that. So this is the Subaru Crosstrek, a hybrid, non-plug-in, not a plug-in hybrid, just a regular hybrid. I think going to be a huge car for them. It's comfortable. It's easy to get in and out of. It's priced right. It has a ton of accessories. And it is a car that, whether you have a driver that's starting out in the family and you want a safe car for them, or an older driver in the family that needs the room to get in a car and out of a car, that, maybe they don't move around as good as they used to, and they can, it takes them a bit. The roof is not so crunched down that you're able to get in and out without contorting yourself too much. Great car. Suggest that you, if you're in the market for this kind of car, go take a look at it. I think it's an excellent car, and I think Subaru did a great job with it. All right, that's going to wrap it up for another edition of Drive Time Radio. I really appreciate you listening to the show. I hope we didn't go too long with the stories, but it is Valentine's Day, and I just wanted to do something around love, because I'm a lover, not a fighter. One more thing before I let you go. Do me a favor, if you get a chance. There's a lot of people in nursing homes, rehab facilities that don't have anybody on this Valentine's Day. They've given, a lot of these people are in these places that, if you're going by a Trader Joe's, you're going by a discount flower place, do me a favor. Pick up a bouquet of flowers, a $10 bouquet of flowers, and drop them off at a nursing home. Drop it off with somebody that that you'll put such a bright spot in their day. You'll put something in their day that you couldn't buy for $1 million, and that is a little bit of love. Even if you buy them one rose and you drop it off at the desk at the nursing home and say, give this to somebody who doesn't have anybody on this Valentine's Day. You'd be surprised how much that means. I've been in these kinds of places, and I know what it means to get a gift like that from out of nowhere on Valentine's Day. Any holidays, really. But Valentine's Day is tough on a lot of people, especially people whose wives or husbands or partners or whatever may have just died this year. it's something to put, at least for a couple of minutes, some happiness into that person's life. So if you get a chance, do me a favor. If you appreciate what I do with the show every week and how I put the show together and everything, we never ask you for money for the show, but I do ask you every once in a while to do me a favor. So do me a favor and go and grab a bunch of flowers and drop it off at a nursing home or a rehab facility for some people who are lonely and don't have anybody on this Valentine's Day 2026. Thank you so very much for listening. We'll see you on Monday with Mikey, if the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise. Until then, happy Valentine's Day. And always remember, peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby. As Mikey would say, what a wine. Take care of yourselves, folks. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to